Awesome, thank you. So again, thank you for joining today's session. The title of today's webinar is How to Rebuild Financing 101. Our session will walk homeowners through the recovery side of the financial side of recovery, from estimating their rebuild costs, timelines, to understanding what assistance is actually available. Later in the webinar, we'll also be joined by a few different speakers, one from Habitat for Humanity San Gabriel Valley, Habitat for Humanity Greater Los Angeles, and the California Housing Finance Agency. Next slide, please. I am Dominique VC Hall, an Associate Director on the Solutions team here at Enterprise Community Partners. I will be leading today's session. It will be joined by Araceli and Brian, who will be supporting with the facilitation today as well. Next slide, please. We are all based in our Southern California office. However, Enterprise Community Partners is a national nonprofit that works across the United States, to ensure families have a place to call home. Next slide. Today's webinar is being facilitated in collaboration with two key partners, the Center by Lendistry and Office. We are both working collaboratively to support survivors as they navigate the rebuilding process. As part of this partnership, Enterprise is hosting several interactive webinars to empower survivors with practical tools and guidance to support them through a rebuilding process. This is our second webinar of the series, and we hope you all are able to join us for the remaining webinars. On the screen, you have all the topics that will be covered. They're all about 3 to 4 weeks apart. So we have the next session later this month is going to be focused on manufactured, factory-built homes, ADUs. Then we have one on resilient building standards, and then one on supporting renters and mobile homeowners, and then one on supporting our seniors. That is a typo, so we'll make sure we correct that, supporting our seniors. We are really glad to offer these webinars and have been really thoughtful in making sure that the information is useful and applicable to you as you are rebuilding. The last session, we really focused on making sure everyone understood the true scope of what rebuilding is going to look like, and also how to select a general contractor. And so if you're interested in learning more about that information, please go and reference the recording. All of the recordings for this session are going to be available as well. And sorry, next slide. These webinars are made possible through the generous support from Wells Fargo, BMO, and US Bank. Thank you so much for your generous support. If you have any questions during today's webinar, please use the Q&A box. We'll try to answer all of the questions, well, as many questions as we can in the chat throughout the session, but we'll have a formal Q&A period towards the end that you'll be able to ask questions directly to the panelists. If you need translation during this session, please use the closed captioning button at the bottom of your screen, and we're able to provide translation in over 30 languages. This webinar, again, is going to be recording all of the materials today. So the PowerPoint, the toolkits are going to be uploaded into the LA Rebuild Hub. And so if you joined us for the first session, you heard the news that this is the brand new hub for all of the materials that you need to support you with rebuilding. We will make sure we reshare the link to the website. But it's just a centralized place to find everything that you need as a single family homeowner or a renter, a nonprofit partner, to make sure that you have everything in one place to support you with your rebuilding process. One additional note that today's session is for information, and we want to support homeowners, but this should not be a place for sales or promotional pitches. And so please refrain from that during today's session. If you are, a person that is a contractor or selling, like that. Next slide. Also want to share an additional disclaimer that all of the information today is general guidance and does not provide any legal, financial, or insurance advice. Every individual circumstance is different, and so please consult with a licensed professional or a contractor or an insurance provider before making a formal decision about rebuilding. Thank you. And now I want to walk us through just our agenda today. So we're going to be starting with how to create a realistic rebuild, a timeline. So you know how long it's really going to take you to finish rebuilding your home and what to expect and what factors really influence that your timeline. Additionally, we're going to outline some of the common rebuilding expenses so homeowners can really understand the different types of costs that may come up along the way. We're also going to share some tips on how to really, you know, put together a budget. We're going to have some templates as well. And again, we're going to hear from a few speakers. So in Habitat for Humanity, San Gabriel Valley, as well as Greater Los Angeles and California housing finance agencies. So we're really excited to hear about their programs that they're offering and the support that they're able to provide to homeowners right now. At the end of the session, we're going to close with some policy updates. And so really excited to include this as part of every webinar going forward in the series. We'll have a policy corner, is what we're calling it, just provide some policy updates. And so our goal today is really to just provide practical information, helpful resources that really guide you all to make informed decisions about rebuilding. Next slide. And so while every project is different, having a realistic timeline can really, help you to set clear expectations and help you to reduce some of that frustration that may come up as you are rebuilding your home. On average, homeowners should expect to take about 24 to 36 months from the first, design, planning, until construction and completing those final inspections occur. And so it is a longer process. And so we want to just make that very clear. So this is not something that happens very quickly. It's going to be a process that takes several months. And so I know that there are a lot of opportunities right now between the county and the different planning departments that are really helping to expedite that process. And so we're really thankful for that. We want to just be very clear about the timeline and how long that's going to be. So this is the estimated timeline. And again, that varies based on the different factors like the permitting, contractor availability, materials, how complex your rebuild is going to be, and then also insurance and if you're able to receive your payment faster or, waiting for funding and financing to really start the rebuilding process. And so while every project is different, we're just going to go right now through the 4 stages of the rebuilding process. So we'll start with the first phase. If you go to the next slide, the first phase is the planning phase. And so in this phase, you are really working to figure out what is actually feasible based on my personal budget, my goal, what I would like my rebuild to look like, and really just planning internally with your family. So this could take about 4 to 6 months to really come to an alignment of what's feasible and what you're able to rebuild. Then you have the design phase where you're actively working with an architect and other design professionals, engineers to really map out the new plan for your home. This can take 3 to 5 months. And then you have the permitting phase. And so that's when you are working with the local agencies to really get your permits approved and start the construction for your property. We've been hearing from partners, especially now that there are different expedited permitting opportunities available for those that were impacted from the wildfires. The permitting is going much faster than it's gone historically, and it's now taking closer to 8 weeks to get approved. And so that's great news. And so I wanted to share that with you all as well. And finally, you have the construction phase. And so that's actually the rebuilding of your home. This is going to be the longest phase of the timeline. And you can expect this to take 12 to 18 months. And then there's the final phase there about final approvals for occupancy. And I thought about making it its own phase because those final approvals can, be more involved sometimes. And so but know that is a part of the construction period, is actually getting those final inspections from, the utility providers or, all the different parties to make sure that you're able to actually move back into your home. And so next slide. And so there are some things that you can control like approval, getting approvals a little quicker at the end. But then there are some things that you can control. And so it's very important to stay organized and keep all of your documents in a really safe and secure location. If possible, have a digital filing system so that you can reference it, you know, not just in paper, but also digitally as well. And although permitting is going faster than it, ever been, still build in time for those corrections. If you do have any corrections for the plans that you submit in, make sure that whoever the part of your project team that you are communicating regularly, because that will help things to go much smoother. And then being flexible, we know that delays happen. And so being prepared for any unexpected delay or changes will help you to have a successful rebuild and then just have set realistic expectations for how long it's going to take. And so we're going to start with a poll here. We have a few polls throughout. And so the first question is, which of these have you already done to prepare for your rebuild? And so if you all can just take a few moments here to indicate what you've already started to do. Have you started to organize your documents? Have you contacted industry professionals? Have you submitted for permits? Have you done all the above? And so I would love to hear what you've done so far. Right. So I see a few have started to organize documents, and that's great. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you all for engaging with the poll. We're going to move to the next slide to just really outline some of the expenses you can expect to encounter while you are rebuilding. So there are two major categories for expenses. You have your soft costs and then your direct costs. So your soft costs are the things like the architecture fee or any fee that you have to get your permitting done. Then you have your direct costs, which are really the physical cost of building the home. So this is calculated based on the square footage of your home, so the cost per square footage and the labor and materials that really go into rebuilding. So when you think about building your budget, there are going to be these two major categories that you want to think about. And if we go to the next slide, we just have some more examples of what these type of costs would be. So you have for the soft, again, site preparation, your permits, contractor fees, architect fees. I have in here that fees for those affected from the wildfire may be waived. And so please continue to just be updated. Policies change, but currently there are some fees being waived for those that were affected by the wildfires. And then direct costs, again, everything that is directly tied to the actual building. So foundation, your HVAC, your fixtures, those are all some of the direct costs that you will have to think about when building your budget. We go to the next slide. As you are rebuilding, very important to also think about fire resilient materials. And so on the screen here, we have some key areas to think about. So you have your roof and your gutters, your chimney and vents, and then your windows and your siding. And so really important to know that embers, when they travel, these are the most vulnerable places in the home for exposure and just heat transfer. And so really, these upgrades may cost a little bit more now upfront, but they do help to improve your home's resilience over time and are worth the cost. The Office of the State and Fire Marshal have put together a complete list of recommended building materials. And so I encourage you all to build this into your budget, to visit that website, to just read some of their recommendations. We're going to be having a session on May 13th, completely devoted to fire resilient materials. And I encourage you all to learn more just about materials at that session and join for that session as well. We're also going to be highlighting some specific finance programs that are available to you to do the necessary climate resilient upgrades to your home. Next slide. We also want to flag that sometimes your insurance company does actually cover these type of upgrades. And so check with your insurance company, see if you are eligible to use your insurance claim payment to cover some of those upgrades. So you have what's covered for like the actual structure and the energy improvements, but then you also have some more involved like plumbing upgrades and retrofitting that you could also be eligible for under your insurance policy. So please reach out to your provider and talk to them. Every policy is different, but it's important for you to connect with them to see if you're able to get coverage for these materials as well. And so we have another poll here. Are you prioritizing fire resilient materials in your rebuild? And so, yes, I see yes, which is awesome. And so thank you for engaging with the poll. Yeah, very important. And again, please join us on May 13th, where we're going to have the entire session is devoted to resilient building materials. And so thank you for engaging with the poll. All right. So now we're going to move into the next section in next budget. And this is, one of the most important parts about rebuilding is really creating a budget that is realistic for your rebuild. And so this section, again, we're going to talk through some of the common cost factors that can affect your budget, and also share a few strategies that can help you and be more realistic and help you reduce some of your financial stress throughout the rebuilding process. And so if we go to the next slide. So when you are financing a rebuild, most homeowners are going to have to combine multiple funding sources. So your insurance payment, grants, other low interest loans to really fill the gap. We know a lot of homeowners are experiencing a major gap in what the insurance company is going to be providing in a claim payment. And so when you start to prioritize what type of financial resources you're going to use to build your budget, please prioritize non-repayable funds like grants, and then start to look into loans to fill the gap afterwards. It's important as you are looking at financial resources or even just agreeing to, loans, that you keep detailed records of all the funds and also plan for unexpected costs. And so building a contingency into your budget is very important, and having backup financing is also very important. For those that have not started to build out their budget, we wanted to just share a cost estimate for some of the more common lines of your budget. So if you go to the next slide, we have various categories here and then an estimated cost range. So for your architecture and design, we are seeing that this is taking up to 10% of the rebuild budget. And then you have your engineering line, where we're seeing that is about 3% of the budget. Permitting around 3%. Construction is the largest line that you can expect to have in your budget. And that's going to be, more than 75% of your budget, closer to 80 range. So a large chunk. And again, your construction budget is really based on how large your home is. This estimate is based on a home that is around 1,600 square feet. So if you're planning to build a home a little bit smaller, a little bit bigger, of course, these ranges are going to increase or decrease. But these cost estimates are based on that square footage. You have your resilient upgrades, which we can expect costs around 5% of the budget. Legal fees, contingency, again, it's really important to build that in. Right here, we have up to 9%. If you want to, it's okay to increase it to 10% to make sure you are not getting into your personal savings more and more to rebuild. And so having an adequate line for contingency is very important. And then you have any other miscellaneous costs. And so next we have, so this chart was adapted from a LA County Recovery Office webinar, where they put together an estimated total on what it would cost to rebuild. And so again, this is based on a 1,600 $1,650 a square foot home at $500 per square foot to rebuild. The total estimated rebuild cost is just over $1 million, which is a substantial amount of money. And I know for those that have been in your home for an extended period of time, the price is maybe very different than what you paid for the home. And so how can you cover this rebuild cost, especially if you know that your insurance company is not going to be providing you with that amount of money? And so we'll go to the next slide. And so there are four different buckets to think about. So you have your personal savings, your insurance, the actual payment from the insurance company, FEMA assistance, and then you have the SBA disaster loan. For your personal savings, our goal is not to have, you use your personal savings that much because we don't want you to deplete your own personal savings to rebuild. But we're thinking if you need to use your personal savings to use it for deposits for a contractor or for your architectural fees. Really important thing to flag here on this line, when you are paying your deposit for a contractor, in the state of California, there are some strict, laws in place. And so if you are putting down a deposit, it should not be more than $1,000 or 10% of the project cost that you are asking them to work on. For insurance, that would be, you would use that to cover your actual construction costs and your code upgrades. So those resilient building standards. The FEMA assistance would be used to cover your uninsured disaster needs. And then the SBA loan will be used to also cover construction. So any additional gaps that come from that are not able to be covered from your insurance provider. We put together a resource, a webpage that provides guidance on how to navigate the insurance claim process. And it just gives you tricks if you're working with a public adjuster or just it just helps you to navigate that process because it is very involved. It's a lot of red tape. And so we wanted to make sure that we were providing resources in that area as well. So please visit that web page and review it just for some guidance on how to navigate the insurance process. So want to also kind of put this together and apply, like, how am I going to cover this rebuild based on the budget that we just shared? So we go to the next slide. We have the funding resources. So if you are estimating you're getting $500,000 from your insurance payment, and then another $50,000 to do the code upgrades, you're getting the FEMA assistance for a little over $40,000 and an SBA loan for another $500,000. You potentially have a gap of $54,000, right? And this is a smaller gap. We know in talking with families that their, gaps are much larger. And so if you have any gap in what you already have funds available or funds that you're able to secure and what the actual cost to rebuild are, how can you cover that gap? And so on the next slide, we're going to outline just some resources that are available to you to help cover that gap. So you have grant opportunities from our nonprofit partners and other private loans and low interest loans. Again, Habitat for Humanity is here today, and they're going to be sharing some information about some loan opportunities that are available. Additionally, there is the SoCal Edison settlement that is available for those that are affected by the wildfire in the Altadena, the Eaton Fire area. I know there is some hesitancy into accepting the settlement fund, but just want to make sure that everyone is aware that that is a financial resource. On the side, there are two resources here. One is a directory of grant opportunities. The list is not exhaustive. There are new grants that are coming out regularly. And so please review the list. Our goal is to update this at least once a month with new grant opportunities. And so please, look at this list as well as do your own research to see if there are any grant opportunities that you qualify for and that you can apply to. Then the second link is a projection tool that the Department of Angels put together, and that helps you to kind of estimate how much your settlement payment would be from SoCal Edison if you're choosing to use that as a financial resource. I want to circle back to the private loan. If you are, again, choosing to do a private loan, please make sure that you are being very mindful of the interest rate on that loan and the repayment terms, and that you can afford to pay that loan long term. And so just something to be super mindful of there. Want to flag one more thing. Sorry, looking at my notes and I realized I missed one thing. So we go back to the last slide on the grant opportunities. Want to also flag that LA NHS, they have several loan programs as well, including one for ADU. And so please reach out to them if you are interested in having an ADU or adding that to your property. They also do workshops in person on a regular basis. And so they're on the spreadsheet there, but they are, have several loans and they're working directly with homeowners as well. Right now we can go to the next slide. Thank you, ma'am. So just some tips to stay on budget. Please consider, if you need to go in a smaller footprint, or just something that is maybe a simpler design or more cost conscious when you think about materials. The reality is you may not be able to build the exact same home that you had before the fires. And so that's a really tough conversation to have. But you have to make sure that you can financially, you can make this financially work for the long term when you're not, putting a financial burden on yourself to rebuild. And then also one thing to be mindful of, if you are increasing your square footage, that it could trigger a property tax reassessment, which could affect the long-term stability of you staying in the home and increase your long-term, your payments on the home. And so be mindful of those two things as well. Next slide. So just some cost-efficient ways that you can rebuild. And so pre-fabricated or modular homes. UCLA, City Lab, and RNLA put together a wonderful showcase a few months ago in Altadena, where they had a few providers in person to really just outline just the benefits of manufactured homes. These can help to not only save time, but also cost in labor. And so it can really help you to reduce your budget as well as the timeline overall. You could potentially look at adding an ADU on the property. It can help to increase potential income. You can also use it for multi-generational living, but it can also be used as a secondary stream of income. SB9, for those living in the Eaton Fire area, properties are still eligible for SB9, and so considering subdividing your property. We will be having this session again on April 22nd to cover modular homes, ADUs, as well as SB9 and permitting and planning approvals. And so please come out to that session and we will share more about that. And then pre-approved plans. So the Foothills catalog was published at the end of last year, and it has several pre-approved plans for homes. And so that takes some of the design phase off of your timeline, and then also the permitting is much quicker for these homes because they are already pre-approved. And so some of these things, when you are reducing days and weeks off of your timeline, that also helps you to reduce some of your costs as well. Yeah. And so we can go to the next slide, and we have a poll here. It's the third one, and it says, what do you think will be the biggest challenge in staying within your rebuild? And so insurance, yes, insurance not covering enough of the rebuild. Anything else? Yes, all insurance, which we completely understand. And so if you are again having trouble navigating that process with your insurance company, please visit the landing page to receive some tips on how to navigate that process. And so I think now we are a little bit ahead of schedule. I think everyone is here. So we've covered a lot of information today, and we're really excited to hear directly from partners who are able to speak more specifically about the available supports and opportunities for homeowners. Right now, we'll be joined by Laura, who is the Senior Director of Housing and Community at Habitat for Humanity San Gabriel Valley, as well as Dr. Thomas Whitman, the SVP of Programs and Government Relations for the Habitat for Humanity Greater Los Angeles. And then later we'll be joined by Max Johnson from the California Housing Finance Agency. We're going to have a short presentation from all of the speakers, and then we're going to have a formal Q&A after both the organizations share. And so now I'll turn it over to Laura from the Habitat San Gabriel Valley.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you see me? I can't see myself. Oh, great. I must have a setting off. Great. I hope I'm in frame. Hello. Good morning. Thanks, Dominique. Thanks, everyone, for having me. So my name is Laura Ely. I'm the Senior Director of Housing and Community with San Gabriel Valley Habitat for Humanity. And so, before I jump in, just to quickly position everyone, Dr. Teresa Thomas Whitman is also here from Habitat for Humanity Greater Los Angeles. So our work at San Gabriel Valley Habitat is focused on the Eaton Fire impacted communities. And for those of you who are in Malibu or Palisades, you'll hear from Denise in a few minutes because they're leading the rebuilding repair efforts in those communities. So just to kind of hear from both of us in just a second, I'll just share a quick overview of how we're supporting homeowners rebuilding after the Eaton Fire, specifically how we're making rebuilding more feasible, just like all the things you were saying, Dominique, both from a construction and financing perspective. First, just acknowledging that rebuilding is very overwhelming. So we're hearing from homeowners that it's not just the cost, it's the number of decisions, the uncertainty, and just the time that it takes to move forward. So our approach has been simply to simplify the process, right? To act as a one-stop rebuilding partner, which means that we're helping homeowners move from application to design to financing to construction, all within one coordinated process. So we are building primary homes, we're building accessory dwelling units, ADUs, and we're using all pre-approved fire-resistant designs. So today we're using the Foothill Catalog designs, like you mentioned, as well as our own SGV Habitat designs. There are over 30 pre-approved designs available. They range from like 500 square feet, they're usually used from ADUs, up to 2,400 square feet. They're all electric, they're designed to be fire resilient, and they're already pre-approved to the county's pre-approved plans program. So this allows us to significantly reduce the design time, to speed up permitting, and give homeowners just more clarity on the upfront costs and the timeline. Speaking about financing, the biggest barrier that we're seeing is that gap that you mentioned between insurance and the true cost to rebuild. So for those building with us, our model focuses on helping close that gap. It's like in a few different ways. So first, we reduce costs wherever possible. So through that standardization, through partnerships, through donated materials and labor, like all of our wonderful volunteers. And then second, after distributing all the possible insurance funds, we layer in financing options. So that can include zero interest monthly payment loans. It can include zero interest deferred or forgivable loans. It could also be advancing funds at 0%. It's like no monthly payments so that construction can begin even if other resources like fire recovery funds are still pending. So we can build back now and advance those funds. So the goal is to remove the need for families to wait, right? And instead allow them to start rebuilding now. And just like you mentioned, you understand like every situation is unique and different. So with different funding sources, they come with different requirements, but we are consistently working with income eligible homeowners. is kind of the base of our programs, and then tailoring those solutions based on each household's specific circumstances and their rebuild requirements, if they're interested in ADU or just a primary home, and kind of how that fits together. So hopefully we can, I know I don't have a slide, but hopefully we can share our contact information as well as Greater Los Angeles's. If you have just further questions, I want to make sure Dionysia has time to speak. But we have a website, we have an email and a phone number. It's suvhabitat.org and fire relief at suvhabitat.org. And yeah, if you want to reach out and learn more, be happy to continue the conversation. And I'll pass it on to Dr. Dionysia Thomas Whitman.
Thank you, Laura.
Mhm.
Good afternoon, everyone. As Laura mentioned, I'm with Habitat Greater Los Angeles, and we've been responding to the wildfire from the very beginning. Many of you may have received distribution items, gift cards, and all those things, and that's wonderful to help you kind of settle into your new normal. At this phase in our recovery support, Habitat LA has several financial devices that can help you. We have an accelerator fund, which is a $10,000 grant opportunity. We have smoke remediation grant funding as well for those whose homes are still standing. We also have a critical repair loan, which is 0%. It's also forgivable of up to $100,000. And then also we're doing new construction for those who need to rebuild. We have financing for that as well. That can range from 150,000 to could be, up to $400,000. It just depends. As Laura mentioned, it is for income eligible. So I'll just kind of talk about the income eligibility for our programs. And I don't know, Laura, if you all are consistent, you can share if not. But we're using 120% of the area median income. So for instance, for a family of four, that would be at $180,000. So if you're a family of two, that's $145,000 a year. So that's the income is kind of what we are the niche for Habitat is to help low income families. So that's kind of how we're responding to the wildfire. I will say that our financing is available to families in Eaton as well as Palisades. And so some people have gotten accelerated funds, and we also have funding from the state, which Cal Home funding for disaster response that we're also able to get into people to help kind of fill their gap. Just additional side note, we also have appliances for appliance replacement grant program. And so for those folks who might just be in a home or they're ready to rebuild or their building process is happening, we also have a program around that, smaller lift, but that's, a need as well. And then I know we're here to talk about rebuilding, but we also, I'd be remiss if I didn't speak to our just general homeownership program. In our home buyer education and counseling, we definitely want to help those who are renters and impacted by the wildfire consider, home ownership as an option. And both of our affiliates have home ownership opportunities as well. So I'll stop there. And I don't know, Dominique, if you have any questions for us or any questions in the chat.
Yes, I do have a couple of questions for you all. Knowing that some homeowners qualify for both areas, can they have grants from both, or is there like any conflict of duplication, like having grants from both habitats?
Yeah, the accelerator fund is available. And that, again, that's a smaller lift. It's a small grant to help people remove any particular barriers, permits, sort of smaller ask, but absolutely people are able to stack that onto their loan. And we've been working in partnership with SGV. So there may be some people who've gotten some funding through SGV. It might have funneled this way from Habitat LA. And I think I would also say that um, case by case is still, I think that's important to note because like we are all living through this disaster in real time and we're really learning and living and listening to what's going on and responding. And so I won't say absolutely not, but we're definitely working. And one last thing here, we're partnering with the disaster case management organizations as well. So if people on the call may have a DCM, we're partnering with those organizations, making sure that they're trained in understanding the work and the programs that we offer so that they can consider, options that might be within their particular area or from FEMA or SBA, those sort of things. Laura.
Thank
Okay.
Yeah, great. Well said.
Awesome, thank you. And just want to see, I know you all shared about how you're supporting those through the rebuild process now. Is there any plans to support after recovery? And so once like they're actually in the home, post to support recovery afterwards?
Well, we definitely have built out our disaster response. Actually, learning about trauma-informed care and response and things of that nature. It is in our motto as an organization really to support families like in homeownership as Habitat affiliates. And I would imagine that yes, we will be present as we help people kind of get back to their community and their home. So I would say we'd be navigating that as well.
Yeah, I agree. I just add on, like both of our organizations have been around for 35 plus years in our areas. As a long term, we've been here and working. We have first time homebuyer programs, other home repair programs, and we have restores in both areas as well that provide ongoing support for furnishing discounts, giveaways. So yeah, I would agree. We're here kind of rooted in the community for the long haul.
Thank you both. Are there any questions from attendees and guests on the call?
I just had another thought, Dominique, while we wait for a question. Similar to SGV, Habitat LA is also partnering with the Foothill Catalog. So there are about 5 pre-approved designs that are specifically for the Palisades, and probably be able to use anywhere, but they are with the aesthetic of the Palisades in mind. And they're actually working on developing additional, I think over the weekend, they had an open house in the Palisades to kind of hear from community members about those new homes. So those will be an opportunity for families if they're willing to or interested in rebuilding with Habitat LA. Those Foothill Catalog models will be help kind of expedite aspects of the rebuilding process if one were interested.
Great. I don't see any questions in the chat, but we can go ahead. We're running a little bit ahead of schedule, Brian, so I can go to my next section, and then when California, the HFA joins, we can have them start.
Thank you for the opportunity, Dominique. I really appreciate it.
Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
And Laura, appreciate you all.
I'll stay around for questions at the end if there are any.
Okay, thank you. And so we wanted to share a few templates that have been created for homeowners to use to build out their budgets. There are 2 different templates. One is specifically about modeling in feasibility. So if you go to the next slide, is a projection tool. Oh, sorry, I forgot I had another poll. And it's how confident do you feel about creating a realistic budget? And so if you all could engage with the poll. I think somewhat confident, not very confident, and I don't know where to begin, and that is okay. Thank you all. Yeah, so a lot in the I'm not very confident range. Okay. Thank you all for engaging with the poll. So we have created a couple of templates for you all. And the first is a projection tool that really is helps you to model out based on the different funding resources. If I were to get this funding resources versus that funding resource, how much of a budget will I have to rebuild? In the same tools, this is the Excel spreadsheet, and screenshots are here on the screen. And so the colorful one is the production tab, and then the one that is in black and white is the second tab on that spreadsheet, and it really helps you to track your timeline. And it has it, month by month, what should you be accomplishing based on the, our estimated timeline and the task that you will be completing along the way. These tools in particular were created by Office of Office. I shared at the beginning of the webinar, they are one of our partner organizations in this effort, and they are actually providing one-on-one disaster case management services. They joined us at the first webinar to share more about their case management. But this is one of the tools that they've created, and we are sharing with homeowners to help them to help them project and also project plan their rebuild. And then the next template is a more itemized level budget to really help you track your estimated cost versus your actual confirmed cost to keep you on budget as you are, receiving receipts for and actually, getting things approved and paying on different things. And so this one is really for that granular, very itemized level of budget traction. So the first one is really projecting out what can I actually use to rebuild. And then this template is really to help you stay on track once you've started the actual process. And so we'll just share those into the chat. And so please download them. These are both in Excel, so meant for you to manipulate and customize to your own personal rebuild. So please use both of those. And now, and then we can go ahead to the next slide, Brian. And Araceli, I'm going to pass it over to you to just provide some policy updates as well. And so Araceli is our policy director here in the Enterprises Southern California office, and she will be providing some updates on policy changes in the landscape that's related to finance.
Thanks, Dominique. Can you hear me and see me?
I can hear you and I can see you, yes.
Okay, perfect. Wanted to check on that. Okay, great. So let's dive in. I know there's been a ton of information. And as Dominique said, so my name is Araceli Palafox. I'm an associate director working on state and local policy out of Enterprises Southern California market. I know that we've covered a lot of ground today, but we wanted to take just a few minutes to share some policy related updates and really just point you to some trusted sources and information hubs for updates related to policy changes and the latest, on the state and local level. So we'll be covering a little bit of that, and we're always available for, questions after this webinar or questions as they come up along the process. So just to kind of recap, we've seen a lot of policies introduced and implemented, ranging from topics include wildfire prevention, wildfire mitigation, streamlining, which we've talked a little bit about during this webinar, and protections and relief for homeowners, as well as renters and small businesses. And then, of course, we saw a lot on insurance in the past year in terms of policies that have been introduced. And last year, we saw many bills that were passed by the legislature and signed by the governor. We included a link in this slide deck that I'm sure you'll have access to, where there's a kind of overview of some relevant laws that folks should be aware of. But we want to just highlight a couple that felt especially relevant for this webinar. The first is AB 238 by Assemblymember Harabedian, which allows homeowners who were impacted by the fires to pause mortgage payments for up to 12 months with no penalties. This was an extension of the initial um, relief that we saw following the wildfires, and want to make sure that folks are aware of that. The second is AB 245 by Assemblymember Gibson, which really extends the time households can rebuild without triggering property tax increases, and prevents owners from being taxed on a higher undamaged 2025 assessed value. And again, these are mainly protections for and relief for homeowners, and want to make sure folks are taking advantage of these policies that were in place to offer relief and protections. Again, there were many policies that were passed, and you can recap those in the section here. Apologies. I also want to flag the recent county program that grants some funding for ADUs for homeowners who are in the unincorporated communities that were impacted. We saw this last month. We've talked about ADUs in this webinar and want to make sure that if you're in the unincorporated communities that you can take advantage of this resource. The county is still developing kind of what this program will look like, but it's certainly something to track and access, since I think it will provide, estimating that it will provide assistance to somewhere up to 50 qualifying households for the construction of ADUs. These are often also referred to as Grammy flats or backyard homes, and I know many folks are considering this as part of their rebuilding plans. And this, I should note, because we had them on the call, this effort is going to be implemented in partnership with the St. Gabriel Valley Habitat for Humanity. So we heard a little bit about that earlier on the call. And then finally, I just want to make sure I point folks to the kind of hub of information from the county. We know that there are a lot of policies that are being not just have passed, but being proposed. And there's what feels like kind of ongoing changes both at a local and state level. And so the county has done a really good job at creating this hub of like recent guidance and updates so you can stay up to date on the latest on this front. So we encourage you to use this as a resource. At Enterprise, we will continue to track policy at a local and state level and share resources as part of this work that we are doing. And, again, encourage folks to reach out if there are specific questions or areas where we can lean into more. But as Dominique said, we'll try to bring kind of relevant updates in these policy corners and in future webinars so that we can make sure we're offering the latest. So if you have feedback on that, I know there's going to be a survey at some point in the webinar. So we'd love to hear how we can make this a useful time for you and provide the latest updates. So I'll pass it back to Dominique.
Awesome. Thank you, Araceli. And now we will pass it over to Max Johnson, who is joining us from the Cal HFA, sorry, like the kindness. And he is the marketing outreach manager for the Cal Assist Mortgage Fund, the program overseeing communications, press outreach, event coordination, and just presentations. Additionally, Max also supports the website content development and leads engagement with a broad range of stakeholders across the state. Thank you, Max, for joining us today and sharing more about the program. And so I will pass it over to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I'm just get my presentation all squared away here. Thanks so much, Dominique. And thank you all. I'm just excited to have the opportunity to speak with you today about the Cal Assist Mortgage Fund. I'm just going to give a quick overview of the program for those who may not be familiar, talk about a recent exciting program expansion that's allowing us to help more homeowners access more grant awards through this program, to be able to relieve some financial burdens they're facing as they're on this path to recovery following disasters. And then I also want to highlight some of the resources available to both homeowners and our outreach partners so that we can continue to get information out about this program to impacted homeowners who may be eligible, and continue to move these funds into to the mortgage servicers to help provide some relief and assistance for our homeowners. So I will just kick off to say that the Callisis Mortgage Fund is a mortgage relief program designed to provide, or is a program designed to provide mortgage relief to disaster survivors whose homes are currently destroyed or severely damaged as a result of a qualified California disaster, like the Los Angeles wildfires. This program was launched in June of last year. The intent is to be able to provide mortgage relief assistance to ease financial burdens for homeowners who are on this path to recovery and are looking to rebuild, but still have to deal, with their mortgage on their home. And so this program is providing grant awards. So these funds are not a loan; these are grant funds paid directly to the homeowner's mortgage servicer in order to ensure that the funds, make it to the mortgage servicer and are able to be applied to the homeowner's mortgage to provide that relief and assistance that they need. This program the grants so these grants never have to be paid back, and the program is funded by the National Mortgage Settlement. So it's about $100 million allocated to support the Callisis Mortgage Fund. And so these funds are not impacted by the state budget, and these are a finite supply of funds. So there is no deadline for homeowners to apply by. The program will operate as long as funds are available, and then once all funds are exhausted, that will be the extent of the relief mortgage assistance that's offered through the program. These are just important characteristics of the program that we want to communicate to homeowners so that they understand what it is they're applying for, that they're understanding that there's no expectation to pay the loan back. The homeowner should speak with a tax professional to see, if these grant awards will impact their taxes in any way, but they're provided with, information to help with that as well. But one of the big, and also I'll just cover a couple of the key eligibility criteria as you'll see on the screen here. Again, the home must be the homeowner's primary residence in the month prior to the disaster. The residence must be currently destroyed or severely damaged as a result of a disaster that occurred between January of 2023 and January of 2025. The homeowner must also own only one residential property with up to 4 units on the property. So this goes for rental properties as well. The goal for the program is to try and direct funds and awards to homeowners who have lost their only primary residence, their only residential property. So that's one of the conditions of the program. And then one of the exciting components of the program's recent expansion was an increase to the income limits. After looking at the applications we had coming in for the program and analyzing, how we can, continue to increase access to this assistance for homeowners, we decided to increase the income limits to ensure that homeowners in the LA County area are able to access these funds. The income limits apply to everyone who is listed on the mortgage or deed of trust for the home. So this is not based on just those who are in the household. It is the combined income of all those listed on the mortgage or deed of trust. So that is what the income limits capture. You can find there's a full list of our income limits and much more information that I'll reference in the
Team, is it frozen for you as well?
I think I may have gotten myself kicked somehow. Isn't that too funny? I think I lost connection for a second. That's on my end. Here we go. Let me get this right.
That's all right. You're back. We can hear you.
Perfect. We're back. Just like nothing ever happened. The blink of an eye, guys. That's how it goes. So anywho, all I was trying to cover there was just ensuring that homeowners, are applying as soon as they can. And I want to hit one of the other major exciting aspects of this program expansion. Previously, the program was offering up to 3 months of mortgage payments for homeowners. The program is now offering up to 1 year of mortgage payments for qualifying homeowners. This is a major expansion because we want to ensure that homeowners are able to access, relief that will make a major impact as they look to recover from this disaster and provide that level of a relief from from mortgage payments and additional financial burdens homeowners may be dealing with. Additionally, the homeowner's mortgage status, so whether the homeowner is behind on payments, has a forbearance amount, or is caught up, does not disqualify them from accessing the funds. So your mortgage status, even if you're in foreclosure, does not prevent you from applying for funds through this program. So that was another key aspect of the program and the expansion that we wanted to clarify for homeowners, because we want people, to apply regardless of their kind of situation, and understand the assistance that is available to them. So those are the key aspects of the program, key aspects of this recent program expansion. You'll see that there are some required documents that you can know to have ready when you apply for the program, like your mortgage statement, previous bank statements, a utility bill from the month prior to the disaster, and a proof of income. So all of these requirements, these documents are explained in full on our website as well, so you can kind of understand what you might be able to provide and get more details there as you go through the application process. But also understand, as you're wanting to navigate the application, if you've got questions coming, I just wanted to talk about the different support that's available to applicants. We have a fantastic contact center that is available to help homeowners navigate the application. This is an entirely online application, which helps us process and review things quickly to be able to try and distribute the funds out as soon as we can. So for homeowners who maybe need a little assistance navigating the online application, or who are just having, questions about documents to provide, or wanting to, understand their own individual eligibility situations, our contact center is a fantastic resource for homeowners to utilize. The phone number is listed right up there at the top, as well as the hours. Additionally, if a homeowner wants to call in and schedule a callback time for later in the week, they have that option as well. So we definitely, the contact center is designed to try and offer, the assistance and access that homeowners need when applying for this program. Additionally, if homeowners or our partners are having questions about the program or eligibility situations, you can feel free to email them to our info inbox as well. We'll look to either connect you with a call center representative or reply to the email with any information that you're looking for, just because that we want to be able to capture those inquiries in multiple different ways. So the Callis Mortgage Fund contact center and our information inbox are great resources for homeowners and partners to access. Additionally, if homeowners are looking to understand what other housing assistance and resources might be available to them, or also wanting assistance on this application, they can reach out to a HUD certified housing counselor, or speak directly with their mortgage servicer. Because another key component of the program is that your mortgage servicer must be participating in the program for funds to be able to be allocated to them. So we have a full list of the participating mortgage servicers on our website as well. And so homeowners can see and make sure that their mortgage servicer is on there. Our servicer team is constantly, working to continue to onboard and bring on, new servicers so that homeowners are able to access these funds. But homeowners can access a full list of those mortgage servicers on our website. So if you're looking for to understand the assistance available to you, or and understanding how these funds will be applied and everything, you can speak with a HUD certified housing counselor for application assistance. Their website information and phone number is right there as well. We also offer some legal assistance services through the organization, through CalAssist, that you can access on our website in case there's legal questions that homeowners are facing. But these are the key applicant support materials and resources available to homeowners and our partners. Finally, I just wanted to say we would love your help spreading the word about this program. On our website, on our newsroom page, you'll find our recent press releases, but also our outreach materials. We have a whole of outreach materials that include fact sheets, toolkits that are available in multiple languages, social media graphics and website buttons, things that just continue to help push the program out into the impacted communities, and also giving some key information about eligibility and the program in general for homeowners if they're having any questions. We have our FAQs on our website. We have a lot of different resources to be able to help homeowners access the funds and understand the program and what they need to do in order to apply. So just asking for your continued support in promoting this program and getting this information out to homeowners, and just highlighting all the resources that are available through this program. So yeah, I think that will cover it. Thank you all again.
Yeah, thank you, Max, for joining us and sharing about the program. I do have a couple of questions for you. The first being, does the program cover the full mortgage, including taxes and insurance, or is it just the principal and the interest?
So the program covers that's a fantastic question, and I know we also cover corporate advance fees as a part of the program through this. I believe it is just the principal and interest, but let me circle back just to confirm like those details of what's covered through the mortgage payment side.
Awesome. Thank you for looking into that. And then the second question is, how long is the approval process typically, from application submission to, letting you know if you were approved for the program?
Yeah. Absolutely. So the review, like the application review and approval process can take a few weeks. Once the application is submitted, our team reviews applications as they come in and analyzes them and sees if there's any additional information that is requested, or if there's any, let's say you accidentally submitted an incorrect document in one of the files. The goal of the team is to try and like get everything that they need and all the information that they have, incorrect information, before making a decision on the application. So if everything's squared away and you uploaded everything correctly, and there's no clarification needed from our eligibility team, yeah, it gets done in just a few weeks. If there's additional information being requested, our team is on top of that and will reach out to the homeowner quickly via email. So I also recommend that homeowners just keep an eye on their emails, because in terms of that back and forth communication, if homeowners miss the email or aren't keeping an eye out for those things, sometimes the process can be a little bit longer. But just recommend that applicants stay on top of their email that they use for the application, because that's how you'll receive both requests for additional information and updates on the status. So once it's been submitted, once it's under review, once a decision has been made, that'll all be conducted via email. And you can also talk with the contact center if you just have a question on the status of the application, or move things forward that way as well. But typically it's a few weeks that the full review or application review and approval process.
Yeah, sounds like a pretty quick process.
Yeah, we're trying to.
Yeah. Thank you again for joining us. I'm going to see if there are any questions in the chat. We'll give folks a couple of minutes or seconds to see if there are any additional questions. And then I have one additional one. I know you said it has to be their primary home and only own home, but could this apply to a second mortgage as well, or just
just the one mortgage? Yeah, it's just the primary residence for this program.
Oh.
Yeah. And then I'll have this information up here with like the call center info and our website, but I'll also, once the presentation concludes, I'll put this information into the chat or share it with Dominique as well, so that y'all can access that information and know where to go for those things. Obviously, we rolled through that. I wanted to go back to this slide because this is where like the key important information is. But yeah, if y'all are ever needing anything, going to our website is the best and most comprehensive resource. That's where you'll go to apply and where you can access the contact center phone number, all that information. So.
Thank you, Max, for joining us. And yeah, we'll move to the next section, Brian.
Perfect. Thank y'all.
Thank you. All right. And so we are going to, thank you again so much to Habitat LA, as well as Habitat San Gabriel Valley and Cal HFA for joining us and sharing just those great resources and those programs. We'll be sure to share all of the materials as well as contact information in our recap email. And again, thank you all for taking the time to join us and share information with the homeowners on the call. In closing, I shared that Office of Office, our partner, is doing one-on-one case management services. And so if you are just feeling, overwhelmed about the rebuilding process or need additional support to help you really think through what's feasible on your property and build out that budget and just also develop your architectural plans. Office of Office is an architectural firm. They are offering trauma-informed case management. So if you go to the next slide, we have a QR code that you can scan for their intake. And then also on the screen is their phone number and their email address. And so if you are still looking for one-on-one support and that's something that you need, please reach out to them and utilize their services. And then want to go to the next slide. We've said this a few times throughout the presentation, but this is emotionally and mentally a draining process, rebuilding. And so want to make sure that we are also protecting our mental health and wanted to just share some mental health resources that you all can reach out to or engage with different programs to make sure that your mental well-being is also in a good place as you are rebuilding. We will share this in our recap email, but on the slides here are just a few organizations that are offering mental health services as well. And another reminder about our upcoming webinars. So again, the next one is on manufactured factory-built homes and ADUs. And then the one following is going to be on resilient materials in the middle of May. Then we're going to have one specifically on supporting our seniors. This one is actually going to be a hybrid one in person at the Eaton Fire Collaborative. And so if you are a senior that has been impacted, please come in person, and we'll be sharing specific programs that seniors are eligible for and just things in that manner. And then the last session will be focused on our residents from mobile park homes or manufactured communities, as well as our renters and the different supports that are available to them as they are going through the rebuilding process. So thank you all so much for joining us today and engaging with all of my polls and just being here today. We want to support you all as much as possible, and we want these webinars to be useful. And so if you have time, please complete the feedback survey just to share your thoughts on the webinar today. Thank you all for joining us, and we hope that you have a great rest of your day. Thank you all.